Welcome to LevelUp. My name is Jennifer, and I'm a Customer Success Manager here at ClickUp. Today, I'm going to share with you the new Business Plus plan features that we're so excited to be offering in our new plan. This plan was designed to access to key features that will better enable our customers with multiple teams or complex workflows to boost productivity and save time. The Business Plus plan includes all of the features available on our business plan, as well as the following: custom permissions, one new custom role, team sharing, subtasks in multiple lists, as well as higher levels of automations and APIs. Now, as we talk today, we're going to be navigating through the ClickUp hierarchy, and I'll be sure to point those areas out as we reach them. So let's start by talking about our custom permissions. In order to do that, we'll go into our workspace settings, and we'll come into security and permissions. And I'd like to point out that you're also able to configure two-factor authentication, as well as 18 other advanced permissions that you can enable or disable as you want or need to for your business needs. Now, before we set up our custom role, let's talk about the 4 out-of-the-box roles that we offer within ClickUp. First of all, and you can't see this one, but I promise it's there, our owners. The owner is the creator of the workspace, or we may have transferred that ownership to someone else, and the owner is the only person who can delete the workspace or access inaccessible spaces. And with the default advanced permissions, they're the only ones who can create roles. Second, our admins, which you can see here. As a best practice, typically only about 10 to 15% of people that you invite into your workspace should have this role. These are those power users that you trust with full access to ClickUp, who will be building workflows and administering the tool every day. Now, by default, admins have all the options toggled on with the exception of that one creation of custom roles, which you could easily turn if you wanted to by creating a custom role. Next, let's talk about our members, and this is where the bulk of your users are going to be. Members are those people you trust to create things and get a high level of work done on lots of projects across the workspaces. However, typically they're not going to be responsible for administering the tool and adding a lot of guests. Guests are intentionally limited in what they can do. These are typically people like clients or contractors who only need to access specific items you share with them. However, we do offer a few permissions that you can turn on and off, like creation of views or deletion of items. We suggest that you review each one of these functionalities within the ClickUp doc that you can reach by going into our Help Center, which I'll show you here in just a little bit. Now, by taking time to learn more about each one of these permissions, you'll be able to better understand the flexibility they offer and how they impact your use of ClickUp. Now, I'm a strategic CSM, so I always like to think strategically. So throughout this session, I'm going to share a few strategic ClickUp tips. And the first one is, before you make any significant changes to any of these permissions or you create your custom role, you be sure to consider the downstream impacts of the settings that you're selecting and how it might impact your users. Talk with your team, decide what makes the most sense, and then make the changes. Now, as you can see, these permissions are very powerful, and they provide flexibility for you to create the access levels appropriate for you and your team. Now, you may want to, in many cases, prevent users from taking certain actions. One of the most common is deleting items. And I want to point out that not only can you limit individuals from being able to delete, but you can get more specific by preventing them from deleting only those things that they create. Get creative with it, have fun with it, and decide what makes the most sense. All right, so now that we've talked about the different permissions that we offer, let's talk about a new custom role that the Business Plus plan offers. Now, for our enterprise plans, you can have unlimited custom roles. With the Business Plus, you can have one. Now, these roles, as you're creating them, are going to be based on a default role that they're going to inherit permissions from. So in this case, I'm going to select admin, and I'm going to make a super admin. Now, you may want to have a admin light. That's actually a very common use case where you want someone to be able to maybe edit statuses and you want to prevent your members from doing that. It gives you lots of flexibility. So we're going to use this super admin I'll go ahead and create that role. And you'll notice now I can toggle on the ability to create custom roles. Now, once I've done that and this super admin has access to everything, I may want to come in and remove some of the access of a standard admin. I'm going to use our deleted items. May not want them to do that, but you may want them to be able to export or import items. You also may want them to be able to invite guests. So you can see we have lots of options available to us in our custom role. All right, so let's dig into people just a little bit further and talk about teams within ClickUp. Michael Jordan once said, "Talent wins games, but intelligence and teamwork win championships." We created ClickUp to make teamwork easier and to make collaborating across teams, departments, and organizations simple. Teams in ClickUp allow an admin or an owner to create a group of people that can be either mentioned with an assigned comment or added to a task very, very quickly. Now, creating teams, as you can see here, is also done from the workspace area. All we need to do to create our team is click Add Team and give our team a name. Now, I'm going to be working with the Avengers today because they're my favorite superheroes. So we're going to go ahead and create the Avengers team. And I'll hit save. Super simple, right? Now all we need to do is add members to this team. So I'm going to add Tony Stark and Natasha Romanoff. Steve Rogers. I'm going to leave Tony Stark and myself out. I want to point out too, one really flexible thing with ClickUp is you don't have to limit membership to a team to just one. I could put Steve Rogers in every team that I create. So we're giving you even more flexibility. All right, so now that our team has been created, we can take advantage of the new feature available on Plus called Team Sharing. Let me go ahead and leave this team setting area. And we're going to navigate to my Avengers campus space. Here you can see that I've got a number of lists, I have a folder, and I have tasks. Notice that 2 of these lists are public and 1 is private. This is a really important point to take note. As I'm getting ready to assign teams to my different spaces or my tasks, they need to be public. We intentionally limited the ability for you to add an entire team to a list or to a folder or to a task if it's private. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes I forget things. And it's very easy to create a team and forget everybody that was in it. So that's why we require, if you're looking at a private space, a private list or task, that you manually add individuals. So don't be too surprised when you don't see the team option. Now, for my Avengers equipment requests, I want to point out that I can come in and I can share my list. And if I want to add the entire team, I can, or I can add the individuals. So I want to come into my task and maybe scheduling the superhero training. I want the entire team to attend. It's just that simple. So now that we're talking about tasks, let's talk about an exciting new feature that we've released that is only available to our Business Plus Enterprise users, and that is subtasks in multiple lists. Now, subtasks in multiple lists are part of our ClickUp called tasks in multiple lists. So go ahead and go into our ClickUps area. You can scroll down and find it, or if you want to search, I'm a huge fan of that. I'm going to search on tasks in multiple. And when I do that, let's add an S to tasks. Here we go. Here's our tasks in multiple lists. And it's really easy to know you're in the right place for 2 reasons. Number 1, we've added a ribbon that indicates that it's been recently updated. And number 2, you'll see the subtasks in multiple lists is something that you can toggle on or you can toggle off. Now, warning, as you can see, I'd already turned this feature on. If I decide to turn it off, you are going to be prompted to let you know that if you disable the option, you're going to need to, automatically we're going to remove any subtasks that have been added from lists, and there may be unintended consequences. So think pretty hard before you turn it off. I think once you turn it on, you're not going to want to turn it off because it gives you so much flexibility. Now, in order to demonstrate this for you, I'm going to leave the Avengers for just a moment, and I'm going to come into my product management that's been set up for agile workflows. Here you can see I've got my epics created, and within my individual tasks, I've created subtasks. Subtasks are the key, as the name of this feature says. What I can do is if I have a subtask that I'm getting ready to put into a sprint, what I can do is come and say, okay, we're going to take as a site member, you want to describe yourself on your own page. All right, we're going to work with this one for now. Once I open that subtask, I'm going to be able to click on the ellipses, and I'm going to have the option to add it to another list. Now notice, you can add it to literally any list, but you do have to have access to those lists or folders in order to use it. I'm going to come into my Q4 2020, and I'm going to select a sprint to add this to. So I'm going to select my December 7th sprint. And I want to point out a couple of things. Number one, the task looks pretty much the same, right? Until we come back in and we open it up. And then you'll be able to see where it's been shared to. The other thing I want to point out that you can come in, you can assign it to someone. I'm going to assign this to Tony Stark. Now let's come down into my sprints. I added it to December 7th, and we'll see that the task has been added. And I have a lot of tasks. But I assigned it to Tony Stark, which makes this a little bit easier. Sorry, this is such a lengthy list. Anytime I make an update to any of the tasks that are in multiple lists, there we go, it's right there, it's going to be reflected in the original list in which it lived. The way I like to explain this to my customers is this. The task lives here, but what we're doing is creating visibility and access from multiple locations. So any changes we make, let's now change the assignee to Steve Rogers. Super easy. Now I've assigned it to both. I can come back into my original sprint, and you'll see the changes are reflected. This can be useful not just in our Agile workflows, but in any workflow. I was working with a customer just yesterday when we were trying to have some marketing tasks flow into their legal department. Well, we created a list for their legal department, and then we shared the subtask, and it very nicely moved over. And once it's done, it will be closed out in both locations. So what we're trying to do here is make ClickUp even more powerful with more flexibility. Now, a few things I want to point out about this feature. Number one, the subtasks are going in the secondary list as a top-level parent task. They will not come in as a subtask. Number two, if a subtask uses a custom field that was in the original list, the custom fields from the secondary list will appear on that subtask. Now, here's another one of those strategic ClickUp tips. When you enable subtasks in multiple lists, again, consider what training and communication and planning your team will need to ensure that this feature is integrated seamlessly to your workflows and processes. If you ever have questions about how this feature works or how you can best leverage it, we have a few resources available. You can always reach out to our ClickUp help team at help@clickup.com. If you have a customer success manager, reach out to us. That's what we're here to do. Number three, you can always come into our docs. So if you click on your workspace, come into help, you'll be able to access any of our docs or pre-recorded videos. So feel free to take a look. All right, last, but most certainly not least, we need to talk about the increased automation and API limits that are allowed to our Business Plus plan. As you've seen so far today, there's so much you can do within ClickUp to increase your productivity and reduce silos within your work. With a little bit of consideration and creativity, you can take the higher automation limits and API limits to supercharge your workflows and integrations with these two features. Now, in the past, our business plan limited our automation to 100 automations per month. With Business Plus, it allows for 25,000 automations per month, which sounds like a lot, but that's going to be 25,000 times that they're used. So it's still a pretty healthy amount. We really are excited that you'll have access to. Now with ClickUp automations, you're able to set up combinations of triggers and actions to help automate repetitive actions, saving time and allowing you to focus on the things that really matter rather than triaging new tasks or other things that we can do very quickly with an automation. So some automations that are very popular are automatically assigning people or teams to tasks, posting comments when a status or assignee changes on a task, Or if a priority changes, you can add tags to a task or you can alert someone. Now, today I'm going to show you how within my Avengers Campus workspace again, we can use an automation. Now we're going to come into the Avengers equipment requests because we know superheroes need a lot of equipment. And I'm going to create a form. Now forms are something that you may already be familiar with. I have one already set up, but I'd like to take just a moment and talk through why these forms are so powerful. Now you can create a form by clicking on Add a View, and forms are one of our page views. We have our regular task views, and then we have our page views. So when we come into our form, I'm going to add this new view, and now I can customize this form. So we're going to call this the 2022 Avengers Equipment Request. I like this because I can tell with the year involved which form I'm going to be using, and you can always sunset older forms if you need to. Be sure to add a form description. So we're going to call this, please include all details of equipment needed. Pretty simple, right? Now with our forms, as you may be, and some of you may not have used them before, you can use the task fields on this left-hand side to pull over information. Here's another strategic tip. Maybe it's not super strategic, but it's one I see customers struggle with quite often. So coming into the task name, be sure to rename this. And the reason you'll want to do this, and you'll definitely want to use this field, if you don't use the task name field, it will come in with a very long, unique identifier that you won't really understand what it's for. So we're going to call this equipment needed. And I'm going to include the year because I want to be able to track this later. I'm going to make this field required, and I'm going to leave it a text field. Now that I know that, I'm going to pull over this custom field that I already created, and that's going to be the Avenger name. Note that if you create your custom fields at the space level, they'll automatically be available to you anywhere within that space. So it's another one of those things you'll want to be strategic about because you'll want to not have duplicate custom fields all over your workspace. And last but not least, let's go ahead and grab our request details just so we have a little bit more information. And maybe you want the due date. That could be important so that you know when you need to procure this equipment. Now I'm going to leave all of these fields required. You'll notice I'm in the editing space. Now if I come to viewing, a couple of things. Number one, I can fill it out from here. But I also want to point out that you can copy a link and you can even share this externally. You can have an expiration date with these forms, which is awesome. And you can even share link with different search engines. Lots of flexibility being built in for you. So I'm going to put in a new request, and we need superhero shoes. And we want them to be blue. I really need them by December 1st. We've got a big mission coming up. I want to have it available to me. And they're going to be for Captain America because he likes blue. And the request details, please order from our standard vendor. Just trying to keep this simple. All right, now as soon as I submit that request, what's happening right now is it's going in and it's creating a task list. It'll take just a moment because my computer is a little bit slow this morning, but it will show up here as a new request. And I want to talk about how we can leverage our automations so that we can make life just a little bit easier. Up here at the top on the right-hand side, you'll notice Automate. I'm going to go ahead and click on Automations, and let's talk about the different types of automations we have. So you'll notice we have the when this happens, then take this action. And we have a very long list from status changes, start date changes. Maybe you want it automatically assigned when a task is created. That's probably the simplest example. But it's also the most powerful because you don't want tasks sitting in your list with no one assigned to them so that they just sit there and they don't get taken care of. So when a task is created, I'm going to change the assignees. And I want to point out our team sharing feature shows up again. I can assign this to the entire team, or I can assign it to someone specific. We'll go ahead and assign this to Tony Stark, And then I'm going to go ahead and create this. So what will happen the next time a new task is created? We'll automatically have that task assigned to Tony Stark. So let's go ahead and fill this out. We're going to Superhero Shoes Blue. I didn't click submit. We'll go ahead and do that. I guess that was perfect because now it's been submitted. We do see this, so we've got the confirmation. Here are my superheroes shoes, and there's Tony Stark. He's automatically assigned to that. Super, super easy. Now, these can be used for a lot of other things, and this is probably the most simple ways to do it. So take a look at our documentation regarding automations to learn more about how you can use this feature. So last, but most certainly not least, let's talk about our increased API limits that you have available with your Business Plus plan. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate it today, but if you want more information and a demonstration, again, reach out to your customer success manager, reach out to our coaching team. The coaching team can demonstrate things for you. And this is also one of those things that you're probably going to need someone within your organization that's familiar with APIs. API endpoints allow instant access to the workspace's data, and you can build things with them. Let your imagination run wild here. Some suggestions to get you started. You can use webhooks to post events like new tasks, list updates. If you want to use our goals, you can do goal updates. You can even add comments. You can also post comments on tasks from outside of an application. If you're using another tool that has API capability, you can push information automatically. You can track time, which you can manually do, as you know, but maybe you're using another time tracking tool. You can push that information to your tasks using the API. For a list of every endpoint that's available, be sure to check out our docs, and let me show you how you can access them. By coming in and clicking on, in the lower left-hand corner, you can select Help. You can see our docs. I've mentioned it a few times today. You can see pre-recorded videos, templates, webinars that we've done in the past, as well as request a feature, connect with support, or book a consultation with our awesome coaches. If you still need help, you can feel free to chat with the ClickUp support team or reach out to our sales group. Or if you need setup assistance, you can reach out to us for that as well. And that's it, folks. I really appreciate you spending some time during the LevelUp conference with me today. Please don't ever forget, we're here to help you. We're here to make your life easier, and we're here to save you time. If you're interested in learning more about Business Plus because you don't currently have it, or if you're interested in our enterprise plan, you can contact sales directly from this billing area, or you can reach out to us at help@clickup.com. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.